All right, let's talk about a tool that can totally transform a business. But, and this is a big but, only if you get it right. We're diving into something called Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP, and figuring out how to actually make it work for you.
So let me ask you something, and this really gets to the heart of a huge business problem. Does your sales team have any idea what's actually in the warehouse? Does your finance department use the same numbers as your procurement team? If the answer is, not really, then you're working in silos. And that's not just frustrating, it's inefficient and it costs you real money. So, what's the fix for all these disconnected departments? Well, it's a piece of technology called an ERP. You can just think of it as the central command center, the brain for your entire business. And here's what that looks like. An ERP basically acts as the central hub. It takes all those crucial parts of your company, everything from the factory floor to the accounting office, and plugs them into one single centralized database. It's one source of truth, so no more arguing over which spreadsheet is the right one. You know, a really great way to think about this is to see it as the company's central nervous system. Think about it. If you touch a hot stove, that signal zips to your brain instantly and you pull your hand back, right? Well, an ERP does the same thing for a business. A new sale is instantly seen by the warehouse and the shipping department. The whole company can react as one single entity. But here's the thing. Installing this nervous system is a massive undertaking. It's like open heart surgery for a company. And when it goes wrong, oh boy, it goes very, very wrong. Let me tell you a story. It's a real-world case about a company called Drugs, and they learned this lesson the hard way. They were a fast-growing pharmaceutical company, so they invested in a fancy new cloud-based ERP. But here's the kicker, the fatal flaw. The software was designed for the clothing industry. I mean, think about that. A system built for tracking T-shirts was trying to manage medicines with batch numbers and expiration dates. So what happened? You guessed it, total chaos. The system completely broke down. They lost sales, and they had to scrap the whole thing and go back to manual spreadsheets. Their huge investment, just gone. It's a disaster that really makes you ask, how on earth do you avoid something like that? Well, the answer isn't just about buying better, more expensive software. Nope. It's about understanding a core set of principles, a blueprint really, that separates a huge success from a total catastrophe. Okay, so let's get into it. These principles are called critical success factors, or CSFs for short. And you should think of them like a pilot's pre-flight checklist. Seriously, if you skip even one of these checks, the whole project could crash and burn. And here they are, the 7 things that will make or break your project. You've got the high-level stuff like getting your top bosses completely on board and having super clear goals. Then you have the practical things like making sure the software actually fits how you work and, choosing the right vendor. And finally, you have the human element, which is so often forgotten. Things like training, communication, and actually involving the people who will use the system every single day. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's go back to that disaster story with Drugs and see how they stack up against our checklist. Vendor fit, a total failure. A garment ERP for a pharma company. Change management and user involvement, basically zero. The staff had no training and no say. The result was pure chaos. It's like a textbook case of what not to do. Okay, so we've seen what a spectacular failure looks like. Let's flip the script. What happens when you nail the human side of all this technology? What does success actually look like? Let's look at this family-run dairy co-op. They had a tiny budget, but their strategy was absolutely brilliant. Instead of a risky Big Bang launch, they started small, just inventory and billing. And here's the genius part. In every village, they trained one local person to be the ERP champion, the go-to expert to help their colleagues. They only moved on when everyone felt confident. I mean, just look at this comparison. It's night and day, right? On one side, you have this massive, complex rollout with the wrong technology and zero user support. And on the other, a slow, steady, human-focused approach. One was a decision made in a boardroom, the other was built from the ground up, by the people, for the people. And that's the real lesson here, isn't it? The co-op success had nothing to do with having the fanciest tech. It was all about having the smartest, people-first strategy. They built momentum with small wins and trusted their own people to lead the change. This all brings us to what I think is the most important lesson when you're talking about any kind of big technology change, and it goes way beyond just ERP systems.
So if you remember anything from all this, let it be this. Success is never just about the tech. It is always, always cultural. That checklist of critical success factors, that's your roadmap. And at the end of the day, a smart plan that puts your people first will always, always beat some powerful platform that nobody knows how or wants to use. So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. Thinking about that dairy co-op and their ERP champions, if this was your team, what's the very first thing you would do to get them ready for a change this big? Because honestly, the answer to that question, that's where the real transformation begins.